Are you looking for a piece of home gym equipment that does all of this and takes up a very small, not a very small amount of space, but it does take up space and does do a lot of freaking workouts? This is the Powertec Workbench Multi-System. Hey guys, it's Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. Today we're back in the garage to review this yellow guy that I happen to wear a matching t-shirt on today. Pretty sweet. This is the Powertec Workbench Multi-System. It does a lot. You're probably assuming it does a lot for how much space it takes up. Now, I'm gonna get into some of the pros and cons of this, what I like about it, what I don't like about it. I'll be brutally honest about it. This is actually the first Powertec piece of equipment that I've reviewed on the channel. There are people out there, kind of like Iron Master, where you have like the Powertec stands. Sound off in the comments, Powertec stands. But if you'd like to see more Powertec reviews, let me know in the comments. Also put a like on this because it lets me know that you like this kind of content. And if you'd like to see more, make sure you subscribe. But I'm gonna walk through this entire system, and I wanna start with just its overall design and dimensions. It's a very long guide. They make the lever gym, which we plan to review next, that is more in line with a compact gym. But if you have the space, this is designed to do more and use their leverage system so you can just do a whole lot of different movements. Now, the way that they're using resistance on this, they're using a lever. They've got this long arm, and then there's a pivot point in the middle. You put weight on the other end, much like a teeter-totter. You pull on this end, it lifts up. Honestly, it's that simple. Leverage systems can be really nice in that you don't have stacks, you don't have to deal with cables. Also, the resistance profiles on them can be good. I'll let you know whether I think these are good. And they're cheaper to ship because you're not having to ship a ton of stacks and stuff. You get to use the plates you've already got. Now, the overall size of this, 120 inches long. That's a long guy. 73 inches wide, and it looks kind of like a bus. It's yellow bus color. They also offer it in black. It's fully powder coated. They have the black and the yellow version. The yellow stands out. You know it's a Powertec piece, but I think for a lot of gyms, the black would work too. Now let me go through the different stations. They have a press station, a pull station that also doubles as like abdominal core station, and then squat station. Within these, they have different attachments that you can do in them. As you'd expect for something that takes up this space, and something that honestly is this well loved, you'd expect it to have a lot of uses, and it does. That's kind of where this goofy little chart comes in. I will say, Powertec, this chart does feel very 90s to me. You know, it just got that 90s look. But it is nice that they actually sent a chart, because there are companies, I'm looking at Prime Fitness, that came out with their smart arm attachment that didn't have any really guide. This one is a nice piece of paper. Put this on your wall right next to Arnold Schwarzenegger. You'll be looking like him in no time. But this tells you all the different movements that you can do using the different systems. So first is just the overall press. So this is the press station. There's a bench that slides back and forth. This bench is attached. It's fully attached there, which means if you want to use the bench for things like dumbbells or other movements, it's a little bit difficult to do because it's just right here. So you kind of have to like force these arms up, get them out of the way, then maybe you can use it with dumbbells. But in reality, like this is really just designed to be here. That is one improvement I think they could have made, is basically make this bench so you could roll it in and out. Then you have your lever system, but you can also use it in other places, and you can use it exactly where you want it. One of the most popular products right now is jammer arms because they mimic machines. Here's what I'll say. I've used all the jammer arms on the market. None of them feel as good as this on presses. Like the central connection point is really ideal for lever arms. Also where it's placed, also the distance of the arms. I know a lot of people are trying to mimic what you can do with this on lever arms. I'll just say, after using all of the jammer arms that are out there, they're just not as good as just something like this. But let me show you the flat press first. So one of the annoying things about this is just kind of inherent with using plates, is if you want to make any adjustments, you do have to deload the entire weight. So you take off plates, then you adjust the arms. Now the way the lever arms are held up is using this piece right here. They then fold down. This piece you can put in any of these holes They basically did 2 rows of holes, so you really have pretty incremental options for where to place the stopper. Honestly, this is somewhat of a safer way to work out than with a barbell, unless you're using like safety stoppers in a bench, which you should. But there's also another one of these arms, once you place this in, that you pull out, so then you can use the arms bilaterally. One thing I will say as a recommendation for Powertec, you should put some numbers here so we know what these holes are. If I'm basically trying to get it in the exact spot I want every time, I want to have some identifiers so I know exactly where I'm going. So you put this where you'd like it. This is a perfect example. It's like I'm benching, but do I put it on hole 2, 3? It's kind of hard to know. So place that in there for your stopper, load up your weight. They do say these are stainless steel weight horns. I'm not saying they're not, it's just they feel a lot like chrome weight horns. But one thing you will notice, they do make them so they lift up, they tilt up, so you don't have to use collars, but they send collars for every Olympic weight horn. There's a lot of collars, so if you want to use them, you can. Now, one other minor thing I wish they would add, kind of surprised they didn't, is basically a weight tree. I don't know if it's because they sell their own weight tree, but for all of these movements, you're using plates. To increase the stability of the system, having a place where you could put plates would be nice. So something like here, you could put a weight horn, you could put it here, you could put it on that back post. I think there's areas where you could put just a simple post so you could put plates. Otherwise, you're gonna have to leave them off on another tree, which I foresee a lot of people doing. It would just be like a nice value add if they just include it in the system. You then get into position. One thing I will say, many commercial gyms that are higher end, you will be using a lever with your foot to get them into place. Yeah, I was at Juji Mufu's gym. We used his Panada pieces, obviously a lot more expensive than this, but you press the lever, it helps you get them out. You really can't do that with this. One thing I would say, some machines, you can place like yoga blocks underneath them to basically lift it up, and then when you lift up, they fall off and then you can get in position. That's nice. This one's just kind of hard to do because all you have is that bar that's there, but I think it's kind of doable. So then you get in, you have a parallel grip, a neutral grip. You can decide which one you want to use. The strength curve, depending on the movement, can be advantageous or disadvantageous to hypertrophy, depending on where the bench is in relation to the lever. This does not adjust up or down, it just stays right there. So on some, the heaviest part of the movement is gonna be at the most stretched portion of the movement. Some it's gonna be more mid, or some, like say on decline, it's actually gonna be at the top of the movement. For hypertrophy, evidence-based training is basically you want the heaviest portion at the biggest stretch of the movement. So it would be kind of cool if that pivoted up and down. If you want to adjust the positioning, I'll just show you how the bench works. So there's this bench that slides forward and back using this lever that's over here. And then there's this seat or back pad that comes up. One thing, this is just kind of the system overall. I've noticed they're not adopting a lot of things that are popular today in the home gym community. An example of that is just numbers to know where you're at when you're moving the thing. So Powertec, my recommendation, put laser etching on this back post so I know what my number is, so I know the angle degree that I'm using. Same thing for this. I would love it if you put this different numbers so I know exactly where my position is, because there's so much on this machine to use. It's kind of hard to know exactly where you are. And then the seat pad actually comes up too. You've got a pin here, and then you can adjust it up basically to that angle. Again, I have no degree markings, so I don't know exactly what degree it is, but it is possible. Then to the attachments. There's basically a square tube that goes on the front right here. This is where you place an attachment. So one is the leg extension leg curl. They're all plate loaded. The leg extension leg curl, it's nice in that you can get a nice stretch with an open hip angle. You're able to get max tension on the quadriceps, which you absolutely want. But because you have the back pad, you can adjust it so you're practically laying down, which is very nice and something that you can't do on a normal leg extension. The problem is the stretch of my ankles is not ideal. I would love it to be way back here. That would be really nice. For what it is, it works. It just would be nice if it went further. And then if you lay the bench down, you can use it for prone leg curls. Prone leg curls are not as nice, in my opinion, as seated leg curls, but it's better than nothing. Now, to the quality of the components, the steel and everything is very stout, very high quality. They have good powder coating. They're using 11 gauge steel. The bench padding is, it's pretty bad. You can kind of hear the plywood kind of, because yeah, you hear that? It's just like, come on. Some of the components is just like, man, it would be cool if they had an upgrade option. Which brings up the point, they're using stickers everywhere else for the logo. Stickers are basically something that you put on something that you're not really proud of, you know, because somebody can just come over here and take this off. So it would be nice if they had laser cut or something that's more permanent, even paint. Okay, now to the pulling station. This is the lat pull down. Honestly, of all three of these, if I was to rank them, I think the pulling would probably be my favorite. You can face either way. One reason to face this way is you do have the leg rollers, a little bit unconventional compared to most because you face the other way, but because of the leverage system, it works out. Now, one thing you'll notice, our seat is backwards. Is that on purpose? No, our assembly team just put it on the wrong way. It didn't come that way, so it's easy to turn around. And they make the seat so that it's kind of curved. It looks like when you first get on the system, like, oh, a traditional lat pull down, you get on this way. The reality is it actually faces the other way, so you basically put your legs in there and then put them here. So just something to be aware of. You can take either a wide grip or a close grip. Get in here, put your legs in, and then pull. I'm 5'9" and a half. Don't forget the half. But if you're somebody that's much taller, I think 6'2" is probably what you're gonna be maxing out on. If you're like 6'4" on this, depending on your arm length, you may be too tall, but I can fit in here just fine, get a great stretch, fantastic. They are using a rubberized grip on basically all their touch points, which isn't bad. I would prefer knurling, obviously, but I don't think it's a big deal. I'd be wrapping Versa grips around there every day, feel locked in, and then you just fully connect to the system. Because this is kind of designed to be an all-in-one system, and if you have this, you're probably not gonna be having a cable system. Maybe you are like a functional trainer. They do offer this bar that then flips around. You can use this if you're doing lat pulls, if you want a closer grip, but also this eyelet allows you to attach a straight bar, so then you can use the machine for tricep extension and other similar movements using the overall system. There's also another addition they made to this, which is this ab piece. Basically, this is a weighted ab curl. I probably wouldn't be using this a ton. Not that I don't like ab curls, not that I don't like abs. It's just like, I don't know. This to me felt like, we've got this seat here, might as well add another movement. Let's add an ab curl. That's what it feels like to me. The lever is kind of offset over to the side, kind of moves a little bit more than I would like. Like generally, of all the movements that are on this machine, the ab piece is the one that I like the least. I'd also say it's the one that's the least significant, the one that's the least important, all that sort of thing. So I don't think it's a big deal. Definitely not a deal breaker, just kind of giving my thoughts on it. Then to the leg section. The leg section is a squat press. If you see, it's kind of a pendulum squat, kind of a hack squat. It's a unique movement. They're still using a lever. The thing that makes this not as good as a normal pendulum squat, number one, is there's not weight offset on the other side. The other part is the lever is kind of short compared to a normal pendulum squat. I step in, you have this diamond foot plate that's at a pretty extreme angle. You lift off. When you're ready to go, you push this bad boy in, you put this in, there's no adjustments on it. You know, that means there's less to break. It just works. Like this system just feels like it's pretty robust, and due to how simple it is, it's just gonna last. So you get in here, throw that in there. You can grab these handles or grab here, then you squat. That's how deep you can squat. Personally, I would like to be able to get a little bit deeper, but generally you're gonna be able to hit, you know, parallel or deeper, how you'd like, and then you come up. For most of the rest, they have these little rubber stoppers that are here. It does not feel robust enough, in my opinion, if you're going really heavy on this. Over time, I kind of worry you're gonna have to replace those, so just be aware. The shoulder pads are actually good foam. I prefer them actually over the foam that they're using on the bench. It just feels more comfortable on the shoulders. You can use it obviously for the squat. If you wanted to use it for something like Viking press, you can do that too. Here, you just kind of have to be careful because you're gonna be hitting the next one. If your weights are very wide, you could use 25s or something. But the other thing you can do on this, which feels very good, is calf raise. So you get in here, they angle this plate, so you can do standing calf raise, and you are able to get a freaking great stretch. Oh, it just feels so good. And then come all the way up. the calf raise I actually really like. So that is the Workbench multi-system and the movements. Now, what do I think about it in comparison to other systems that are out there? This is for a very specific person, I would say. Here's why. Most home gyms, this is just gonna take up too much space. I love using machines. I like them a lot. But I think there's a way that you can get 90% of the way there with most of these movements on smaller systems. One of those is their lever gym. I think they know that, but this one I think is more suited towards somebody that has multiple people working out at one time. So if like you and your wife and your kids or something like that are working out at the same time, this is actually a way that you can do that using the full system, and you're really not gonna hurt one another. If you've got a ton of space and want a lot of different movements that you're used to using in a commercial gym, this is another piece that you can use. But for most home gym owners, I would recommend, for a lot of you, just go with the squat rack and functional trainer like you've seen. But I will say, for those that have the space and want these movements, you're really gonna like this piece. Also, the price on this is pretty dang good. $2 grand for all of this. You're gonna have to take some time to assemble it. Comes in multiple boxes, but there's a lot of steel, and it's almost all 11 gauge steel. So there's a lot of weight here. It's over 450 pounds. So do I recommend it? If you meet those use cases. But I will say, for most of you, wait for our next review on the lever gym. I think the lever gym is gonna be more in line with a lot of people are looking for, and I'd actually say that I would probably recommend it even more so than something like a prime single stack or an Adonis, just basically those stack lat pull downs, because I think you can get more use out of something like a lever gym. So if you'd like to see that, make sure you subscribe. Let me know in the comments. If you use Powertec, there's a lot of people that just love Powertec. Let me know in the comments what you think of this machine or any of the others that you'd like to see us get in so we can review it. This has been Coop from Garage. I'll see you next time. Peace.